I don't think that anything that the Republican Party is doing currently should be surprising to anyone. Several years ago, I used to hold this naive position that, there's no way that they could get any worse than they are currently. But Republicans have proven time and time again that there is literally no floor beneath which they will not sink. And it's played out in all of their policy that they are a anti-woman, anti-child, anti-family, anti-working class, anti-education, pro-billionaire, pro-war, and most recently pro-pedophile death cult. And like I said, that is in all of the policy. But I want to focus on the controllables because a Republican politician does not care what me or anybody else on the left thinks. But because we do have a opposition party that we can hopefully sway in the right direction, that's where I think the focus should be. So this time I want to talk about a couple of people, specifically Chuck Schumer and Tom Suozzi, and what they're busy focusing their time and energy and effort on as the country descends further and further into this fascistic hellscape that we're dealing with now. Before we do, make sure you like the video, subscribe to the channel, click the bell as well. That way YouTube will notify you when I upload a video. Unfortunately, it's gotten a little bit better recently, but YouTube doesn't tend to really like the content, especially if you're talking about things like Epstein or about like ICE killing people. But like I said, we're gonna talk about Democrats. So let's start here. Tom Suozzi, who was one of the 7 Democrats that Hakeem Jeffries allowed to vote with Republicans to give ICE an additional $10 billion, is doing an event. It looks like it's some sort of a Jewish event. And Walter Masterson and a couple of other guys showed up to protest him. So let's watch and then I'll react.
Tom Suozzi, I know you voted to increase ICE funding,
yes.
So I wanted to get something for you. This is an adult diaper for when you pee yourself in front of Donald Trump. You're the type of leader we need right now. Someone who soils themselves with fascists here at our door.
I just would like to say really quick, as a Jewish man, I have never felt safer than when there is a masked Gestapo in the street. Thank you, Congressman Tom Suozzi, for funding ICE. I think the only way I can fight anti-Semitism is by aligning ourselves with white supremacists. I just want to reiterate, nobody could have predicted that ICE would have been killing innocent people.
I'm going to read the names of the 9 people that were killed by ICE this month. I'm reading names of people killed by ICE. You're going to touch me? You're going to touch me? Alex Preddy, Renee Good, Keith Porter, Parity Law. These people were killed by ICE this month. 9 people were killed by ICE this month. And you're throwing me out while I'm reading their names? You are funding our occupation.
Not good, you made a mistake. Tell Alex Preddy you made a mistake. And it's
Get out of here. 9 people were killed by ICE this month. 3 of them were gunned down. 6 of them died while in ICE custody. We are funding our own occupation.
Yeah, and you did fail. Yeah. You were on the wrong side of history. And it's time to go back on the other side.
He's a Jewish American, okay? And I don't know if you notice or not, but like Tom Suozzi is there wearing a yarmulke. And he's a Jewish American who, after Jonathan Ross murdered Renee Nicole Good, they still voted to give more money to Trump's Gestapo, okay? Jews back in the 30s and 40s suffered at the hands of the Nazis and were mass exterminated. And now we have not only immigrants getting rounded up, shipped off, put into concentration camps, and in some cases actually killed, we also have American citizens getting murdered by these people in the streets, in cold blood, on video. There's no explanation that can justify anything that they've done, okay? And they literally kick Walter Masterson and all these other guys out of the event because they're letting Tom Suozzi know that, like, you're a Jew and you are literally voting to continue giving money to the people who are killing Americans, killing immigrants. It's insanity. And they act very much like the Gestapo from Nazi Germany. And I think it was Walter Masterson who said, "You're voting to fund our own oppression," or whatever it was that he said. Now, I want to make this super, super clear, because the Democrats right now have an approval rating that is about half of what Donald Trump's approval rating is. And Donald Trump's approval is in the fucking toilet. He's never been this low except for right after January 6th. Trump is polling at 35% right now, and the Democrats are at half of that. The opposition party is polling at an 18% approval rating, and this is one of the reasons why. Because if you ask Democratic voters how many of them want to give more money to ICE and how many of them want to abolish ICE, the vote that people actually on the Democratic side support ICE and support giving more money to them, it's like 15%. So Tom Suozzi is shilling for the Gestapo and the Republicans on an issue that his own voters, most of them don't support. You got 76% of Democratic voters support abolishing ICE, only 15% or so support ICE. Tom Suozzi is with the 15%, okay? Unbelievable. And these people, not just Tom Suozzi, but all the 7 Republicans, or excuse me, yeah, well, they basically are Republicans, but all of the 7 Democrats who voted with Republicans on this, and I'm going to put them up here on the screen right now, all of them should experience the exact same protest and vitriol from their voters that Tom Suozzi did in this video. Because these people do not deserve an ounce of peace. They should be protested, they should be shouted down, they need to be voted out, and they don't deserve a moment's peace until they are. Because, like I said in that video about, like MAGA voters being pissed off at what's going on with Trump and pissed off with their own representatives, and the MAGA podcasters like Andrew Schultz or Joe Rogan or whoever it is, it's on us to try and fix the Democrats, because nobody is going to come and save us from the right. We need the Republicans to start doing the same thing, even more to their own representatives, like we saw in that town hall in Alabama. Like we see, Andrew Schultz going on his podcast and saying, like what Trump is doing is straight murder, and they're trying to spin it like Alex Preddy was a domestic terrorist, like Renee Good was a domestic terrorist. ICE has killed 9 people just in the last month, some directly by gunshots, some because they died in ICE custody. But that alone is completely disqualifying for anybody to vote to give these guys another cent. So like I said, part of the reason why the Democrats are polling so unbelievably low is because of this kind of politician like Tom Suozzi, who, wants to play patty cake with the Republicans and vote to give the Gestapo more money. But I also want to talk about the leader in the Senate, Chuck the Cuck, who at a time when we need a strong opposition leader. We need somebody who can go out and say unapologetically, unequivocally, we need to arrest these people who are killing American citizens. We need to put them on trial. They need to lose their job. We need to impeach people like Kristi Noem and Tom Homan and Stephen Miller and Trump and J.D. Vance and all of these fascist fucks. What is Chuck Schumer out there doing? He's out there giving a speech about how important it is to give more money to Israel. Take a look.
Fight for aid to Israel, all the aid that Israel needs. I will continue to fight for it. And we delivered more security assistance to Israel, our ally, under my leadership than ever before. We will keep doing that, everybody.
Now again, another Jewish American representative. This is not me being anti-Semitic. This is literally, Chuck, nobody in Israel cast a vote for you. No one. You're a representative of the United States of America, not Israel. And so the fact that at the time now, when we desperately need the opposition party to push back, Chuck Schumer is giving speeches about how we have to give more money to Israel. And again, like I said from before, the Republicans don't want to give people health care, don't want to give people education, don't want to give women reproductive rights. They want to give more tax cuts to billionaires. Israel has free education and free health care and all this stuff. People in the United States don't. And it's also important to remember, like I just said, from the polling on what Tom Suozzi supports, which only 15% of Democrats support giving more money to ICE. Want to take a wild guess at how many Democratic voters support giving more money to the genocidal regime in Israel? 4%. 4%. So Chuck Schumer is shilling for another country in which his own voters, only 4% support it. And they wonder why they lose. The Democrats wonder why they lose. And they had this whole thing where they were going to do an autopsy on the 2024 election, try and figure out why it was that Kamala lost to Trump and why the Democrats managed to lose to literally the dumbest, most corrupt, most incompetent person to ever darken the doors of the Oval Office. And they spiked the report. They spiked the autopsy. So they don't want people to know, oh, maybe we fucked up and we shouldn't have, said that we still support Israel. Over 90% of the people who have been killed in Gaza are women and children and innocent civilians. Okay? So it's important to know that this is an election year and we have the ability to get rid of both of these guys, but also to make sure that we're pushing the party towards the policy that people actually want. Because it's not just about what we want, but it's about how to effectively fight back against what can only be described as fascism at this point. And the leaders in the Democratic Party, Hakeem Jeffries, Chuck Schumer, Hakeem is letting his caucus vote with Republicans. Chuck Schumer is out there shilling for another country when his own country is falling apart. We have the ability to get rid of them this year and replace these people with people who actually care, with people who actually want to fight. And if I had to see somebody else be the leader in the Senate, whether the Democrats take back the majority or not, I'd love to see somebody like Chris Murphy, for example, or Chris Van Hollen. Or, Bernie is technically an independent, so they'd never let him be the Democratic leader or whatever. But, we need somebody like that, somebody with actual principles. And as far as Hakeem Jeffries goes, totally worthless, has no control over his caucus. We need somebody like Ro Khanna, for example, or somebody like AOC or Garcia, the guy who is the head of oversight, somebody else. Somebody who actually can whip votes and somebody who has principles and somebody who can effectively fight the Republicans instead of playing patty cake with them and trying to come up with a bipartisan solution so that they can meet the fascists halfway. The only way the Democratic Party is going to actually turn around is if we get rid of the people at the top. The Republicans despised Nancy Pelosi and still do. And I have a lot of problems with Nancy Pelosi, but she was a really shrewd politician and she was very good at keeping her caucus in line and whipping votes, usually for the wrong thing. She made sure that that they didn't have a vote on the House floor on whether they should even consider Medicare for all. But so she's spiked a lot of progressive policies, which sucked. But the point is that she got things done and the Republicans hated her for it. And we need somebody like that in Democratic leadership. I despise Nancy Pelosi. I despise Mitch McConnell. But Mitch McConnell, even when he was minority leader, was extremely, extremely effective at thwarting anything that the Democrats really wanted to do and making sure that Obama did not get to put another justice on the Supreme Court. He blocked them for 9 months or 11 months or whatever it was. And so we need people like that who actually understand this game and understand how to play politics. This is a game of power and fear and getting shit done, not trying to work towards a bipartisan solution on how much money we should give to the Gestapo. Or maybe we should do more training for them, and maybe they should wear body cameras and take off their masks, as if we need another camera angle to see them murder civilians and murder innocent immigrants. So again, the call has to come from inside the House if anybody wants any kind of real change in this country. And the homework for the people on the right is you've got to start calling out MAGA, heckle them at their town halls, don't vote for Republicans who are, you know, just doing whatever Trump wants at this point. I mean, like, I can think of like 2 Republicans maybe that have kind of bucked Trump. Thomas Massey being one of them. Obviously Marjorie Taylor Greene, although like it literally cost her career that she didn't agree with Trump on the Epstein files being released. She literally voted with Trump over 99% of the time. And the one thing that cost her career is that she didn't want to defend pedophiles and wanted the Epstein files to come out and wasn't able to. So we need more people like that. Obviously people like Rand Paul, again, I massively disagree with him on a ton of things, but he's been consistent in calling out the fact that like ICE killing American citizens, if you think this was a clean kill, you're absolutely insane. He's been calling out Trump for the illegal invasion of Venezuela. We just need a massive shift in both parties. And from the Democratic side, it's got to come from the Democratic voters. And from the Republican side, it's got to come from the Republican voters if you guys want to see any change. Anyway, that's all I got for you. Make sure you like the video, subscribe to the channel. If you're not already subscribed, hit the bell as well. That way YouTube will let you know whenever I upload another one. And I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.